If you don't have a V8 in your lineup and you are an American company, that is anti-American. At least, according to Ram's new CEO, Tim Kuniskis. He's back, and he wants the V8s back as well. The Hemis in the Ram 1500s, and I want them back too because the Hurricane Inline 6 is a great engine. You got more power than the Hemi, but it just doesn't have the same soul and the same vibe. When you fire, when you press that button, you want to feel like there is a monster underneath the hood that you just woke up to life. So what we're going to do in this video is have a look at this article and what Tim has to say here about the future of Ram and the current lineup. He's a little bit, I feel like he's a little bit agitated about what the Carlos Tavares, the previous CEO, did with the brand. He wasn't in line with that, but now that Tavares is gone, we might actually have an opportunity here to bring back the V8. So before we jump in, and I also want to talk about the Ram Rebel, because there are things about the new Rebel that I do not understand. I reviewed it for a week here, and looking at the graphics in the front end, I feel like Ram cheaped out a little bit. So we're going to have a look at the old Rebel, the new Rebel, and I'm going to show you exactly what it is I'm talking about that does not make sense to me one bit in the styling of the new Ram. So before we jump into Photoshop, have a look at the new Ram from front, side, and rear, and also, of course, the new stunning, still beautiful interiors for Ram. They just make some of the, I think, the best interiors when it comes to trucks. Still, Ram is on top there. Before we jump into Photoshop, let's have a look at this article from Car Scoops, and let's see what this is all about. So Ram boss says taking the Hemi V8 away was anti-American. Tim Kuniskis seems open to a Hemi-powered 1500, but there are bigger fish to fry. So Ram CEO Tim Kuniskis has said that they took away a fundamental American thing when they dropped the Hemi V8. And I mean, how can you disagree with that? It's been around for so long. It's part of it's the heartbeat of the 1500 trucks and the Challenger and the Chargers as well. He understands the anger, but wants to get production issues sorted out first before considering its return to the lineup. While the 1500 no longer offers a V8, you still have the 2025 Ram 2500s and the 3500, the heavy-duty trucks, still come standard with a 6.4-liter V8. So Carlos Tavares is out and Tim Kuniskis is back in. There's been a lot of change at Stellantis in the past few months, and I think these are good changes. You'll still find, as I said, the 6.4-liter V8 in the recently unveiled 2025 Ram 2500 and 3500s, which, by the way, also look great. It doesn't matter what type of size you have for trucks. I still think Ram is on top when it comes to design over the rest of the competition. You have the 5.7-liter and 6.2-liter Hemis are not available anymore in the 1500s. They've been replaced by a twin-turbo 3-liter inline 6, developing up to 540 horsepower and 521 pound-feet of torque. Now, this powertrain, if it wasn't for the fact that it does not sound, it doesn't sound like it's supposed. It doesn't have the. If you look at the new Rebel, for example, and the RHO, which I just reviewed last week, go and check it out on the Sketch Monkey channel. Fantastic truck, looks absolutely amazing. The TRX styling with the new front fascia. Again, Ram just making the most beautiful looking trucks these days. Fantastic truck, but when you look at the styling of that, you have the TRX in mind because you still have the wide fenders and all of that. But then you fire it up, and it sounds so weak. It just does not have this connection that you want to have when you look at the truck and get the feel, vibe, and then you fire it up and you get sort of disappointed, like it doesn't have the V8 rumble. So the move was controversial to remove the V8s, despite the fact that the inline 6 is a performance upgrade over the 5.7-liter V8 that produced 395 horsepower and 410 pound-feet of torque, and now we have 540 horsepower in the RHO, for example, but we don't have the TRX anymore. Kuniskis recently called its elimination un-American. Speaking to Road and Track, The executive said Americans love freedom of choice more than anything. When you take away their freedom of choice and tell them you must take this, they revolt. Whether it makes sense or not, it really does not matter. While Kuniskis knows people are upset about the lack of the Hemi V8, he doesn't believe that it is what is responsible for that this is responsible for lackluster sales. Not sure though. I mean, if you're so used to having Ram 1500 trucks with a V8 and all of a sudden you just drop the V8 from the entire lineup, I think that probably has an impact on sales, but he says that's not the case. Ram truck sales fell 16% last year, and Kuniskis blames production issues and a focus on simple trims to get some trucks out the door. He says it's too early to talk about the Hemi V8s returning to the lineup. However, the publication noted he didn't flatly deny the possibility either. So I think what they're going to do here, as Kuniskis says, he want to figure out the production issues that Ram is having right now, and then we can start to think about, bringing back the V8. I think that is a good strategy to go with. So if sales rebound, there's probably no need to bring back the V8. However, if they continue tanking, the V8 could potentially return. So what I take from this is let's take it easy on buying Rams for now and just bring down the numbers a little bit so Ram can feel the pain of not having a V8 in their lineup, and then they're going to make the decision. They're going to come to their senses and think, hey, maybe the sales drops are actually an effect of us not having a V8 anymore, and boom, they're going to bring the V8 back. So with that said, let's jump in Photoshop here. I want to show you something. I want to hear your opinion on this. So up top, we do have the beautiful old Ram Rebel up top. And look at this design. The reason why I personally prefer the old design here is several reasons. First of all, we have a more unique front end. It has a lot more personality. If you look at the grill here, for example, the mustache that some people don't like, but I love, you see that this line at the bottom, let's see why I can't sketch here. Here we go. You see this line at the bottom, it goes very high up, and then you have the Ram logo sitting underneath this line. So we have it centered in the grill, and we have this mustache creating a strong personality for specifically the Rebel in the front end, looking beautiful. Now look at the new one here. We still have the mustache, but it's nowhere near as pronounced as it used to be in the Rebel from 2019. Instead, it just dips up very slightly down here at the bottom, and then you have this big surface now, which is the grill, and the Ram logo feels kind of like it's floating in the middle of nowhere. It doesn't have a nice framing to it anymore, and that is the reason why I prefer the old Ram. But the biggest reason here, look at the headlight design. I do not understand why Ram did not take the RHO headlights and slap them into the Rebel. Now, we used to have these beautiful daytime run lights up here. This is the one of the reasons why I actually bought a Ram Rebel myself, because I just loved the styling of it. It looked beautiful with this grille, and then you have these stunning LEDs that definitely gives it an identity, both a daytime and nighttime LED lights in the front end for the daytime run lights. And look at the new one. This looks like a headlights from the 90s. I mean, we have no LED, we have no personality in the front end of the new Rebels. The LEDs are completely gone. This is not an LED up top here, LED strip. Instead, it's all like a light bulb, Edison light bulbs for the indicator here as well. And that was very disappointing to see, because the Rebel, it's a very expensive truck, and I feel like Ram cheaped out by not putting LEDs in the front end of the headlight, in the eyeball, which is one of the most important key features when it comes to bringing out a personality for the trucks. And also, I like the bumper better on the previous generation as well. I had mine all blacked out, so all of these silver pieces in the front was all blacked out. Now we have a cut line right here. Still looks pretty good. I do like it that everything here is blacked out again in the lower section. This piece looks to be almost identical to the new Ram, but the biggest disappointment here, as I said, is just how they treated the key graphics, the lights in the front end. It just does not make sense to me to pay this much money. I do believe you still have LEDs in the rear end, but the front end, they just skipped the LEDs, which is very, very strange to see. Now, looking at the side view here of both the Rams, the new one and the old one, The old one looks great in yellow. This is, I can't remember what the name of this truck specific trim was, or version of the Rebel. One of the latest Rebels before they removed it and introduced a new one. Looks pretty cool in yellow. You have a classic 3-box design like this. 1 box in the front end right here. You have the second box being this greenhouse box, and then the third box, of course, being the bed. So very easy truck to sketch. If you want to learn how to sketch trucks, you can look at the Ram Rebel or 1500 inside view, box it up like this, create an angle here for the greenhouse, and boom, you have yourself a nice looking truck. If you want to learn how to sketch, you can check out my course down below in the description. Now, the thing about the Rebel though, I personally think that the 33-inch tires here, they look way too small. So personally, I added 35s onto mine, and proportionally, it just looks a lot better than what we have right here. Same goes for the new Rebel. I definitely want to have 35s on here. You can see just how small, they look a little too small. But the styling in the front end, again, I just prefer the bigger headlight that we have here instead of this. The slim headlights for the new Rebel, it's not bad, but if it had LEDs in the front, we have new taillights here as well. And you can see that I do believe we have LEDs in the rear here as well. So let's check out the rear view here. Looking at the new Rebel, I'm not sure if we have an LED daytime running light like we had in the old one here. But the thing about this, even if we were to have LEDs in the rear end, the RHO, they still made it, I feel like they removed a lot of personality from the truck itself, because here you can see this beautiful line here. Check this out. We have a thicker piece in the end point of both LEDs, both up top and on the side here. It goes into thinner, looking beautiful, creating some weight on the top half and on the lower half down here. And we have this line that was new for 2019, created this wave line at the bottom instead of having it be straight like we used to have in the previous generation. Now looking at the new one, the taillights still look very good, but I can't tell. I don't think we have this LED that goes around it on the outside, creating this personality that I want to have. Even if we were to have that like we have in the RHO, they still removed the thicker piece up top here and at the bottom. So it looks a lot more simplistic and a lot more minimalistic. And that is, again, one reason why I prefer the older Rebels over the new one right here. But thankfully, we still have the beautiful wave design here in the tailgate, looking pretty nice. And I also like the blue color that we have here. Again, put 35s on here to just fill out the wheelhouses properly. Last but not least, the interiors. Now, when I reviewed the Rebel and the RHO, I'm always amazed every time I jump into a Ram truck, because I think the interior, the attention to details on the interior is just fantastic. The use of the materials, the quality, the build quality you have in here. You can see that in this one you have the old, I do believe this was an 8 or 10-inch screen. So it's not the biggest screen. You could still get this with a 12-inch screen, which stretches all the way down here. But personally, I don't really care about that, because I think this is the screen size for this. I want to go back to smaller screens like this. It just makes more sense to me. And it also brings in a lot more physical knobs and buttons for the interior. And that is personally what I want to have, specifically in a truck like this. You want to have very simple dials and buttons to just figure out quickly what it is you want to adjust and change. Not so sure about the red interior here. I personally went with the completely blacked out interior. I think that just looks better, but this is not too bad. Steering wheel looks great. We have analog tachometer, analog speedometer with a small screen in the middle that is completely configurable for the 2019 model. Now looking at the new one here, and they really increased the size of the screen. But the thing is about this, compare this to, for example, a Toyota Tundra, which has a 14-inch screen, and this is a 14.4-inch screen, which is absolutely massive. But even if it's larger than the Tundra screen, I think the integration here looks a whole lot better than the one that we have in the Tundra. The Tundra screen just sticks out like this, like a TV up here. It doesn't have a clean integration like we have right here. And now we also have this, I do believe this is a 10.4-inch screen for the passenger, where they can check out YouTube. They can hook up the HDMI port right here and watch some movies or whatever they want. They can also bring in the navigation into the screen, so the passenger can see where you're actually going. But looking at both of these interiors, in my opinion, Ram is still on top when it comes to quality and design and functionality when it comes to interiors, even if we have now a big 14.4-inch screen. The good news here is that we still have the buttons for the climate settings here. You can adjust them inside of the screen down here. You have some climate settings somewhere in this area, and then you also have them still be physical on the sides of the screen, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, the Rebel for 2025 still has the rotary dial, which some people I know don't really like, but if you go for the RHO, you're gonna get a proper stick down here, not a stick shift, but a proper, gear selector in the middle. But what that does is removes the functionality of sliding this entire piece back and forth, because everything becomes static if you don't have the rotary dial here. So interesting times for Stellantis in general. With Tavares now gone, he had some very unique ideas, and the biggest one, of course, being not putting a V8 in the new Challenger, in the new Charger. I always say Challenger because it looks like the old Challenger. And also removing the V8 from the 1500, but that might change now. Hopefully. I don't want to say I don't want Ram to sell more trucks, but if they keep plummeting like this, I think they're going to come to their senses, as I said, and figure out that they probably will need the V8 to return to the 1500 trucks.